Does Candace Owens represent a MAGA meltdown, and is it permanent? Welcome to the Sanity Podcast. This is a special live edition, so make sure that you like our video and you subscribe so you never miss a live episode or any of our episodes. And also, we're live, so feel free to drop some comments into the chat bar, and we will answer your questions and work you in. I'm Allison Camerata. Hi, Dave Briggs.
Hello there. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It's interesting because a lot of questions. Are we at war with Iran? And is MAGA at war with itself? It is so tempting to latch on to that. And you pointed out Candace Owens is the tip of the spear at the moment.
Well, she's publicly speaking out, which is, I hesitate to use the word brave with Candace Owens because she's such a conspiracy theorist and has said so many hateful things. But when you speak out against President Trump, you can be pretty quickly excommunicated and lose your posse. Now, you can also, as we know, and we'll get into this, work your way back in by kissing the ring. But right now, she is vociferous about saying things, as strong as he's been a chronic disappointment.
Yeah, that is strong. And she's not alone in being furious about dropping the bombs on Iran. Of course, Tucker Carlson was first here and very critical of the administration even before they did it. Steve Bannon, a number of others, Marjorie Taylor Greene. But again, I think it still remains kind of a small fraction of MAGA. But Candace Owens is very disappointed in the Trump administration. Here's what part of what she told Pierce Morgan that is getting a lot of headlines today.
Make the assumption that you can just drop bombs on a country and then say, well, you know what, we didn't formally declare war is patently ridiculous. I think that is just patently ridiculous.
But what about when he killed General Soleimani, one of Iran's top military commanders?
Sure, an assassination, a strike, and that, of course, came with some risk. It's a little bit different to be flying out B-6 bombers in the middle of the night and dropping bombs at the behest of Bibi Netanyahu, which brings me to the second point. The reason that America wants a regime change in Iran is because Bibi Netanyahu is demanding it. And that answers the question as to why there is this split in the MAGA movement.
This split in the MAGA movement. Let me just say a couple of things here. One, I listened to this whole interview and Candace Owens is blatantly anti-Semitic. I'm saying it. It is clear.
You're going out on a limb and saying she's anti-Semitic. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know I'm going out on a limb.
Reputation.
But she says Netanyahu is the one that made this decision. She calls Israel a terrorist nation in this interview and calls for regime change in Israel, not in Iran. So let's take that all in that context. But here's what I take issue with, Allison. She says that Trump voters voted for no more foreign wars. I call bullshit on that. I don't think Trump voters voted for policy, period. Maybe immigration, but I don't even think they really voted for immigration. I think it was more fear over facts. I don't think there is any policy attachment whatsoever to President Trump from MAGA supporters. Do I have it wrong? I think it's really an emotional attachment they have to this man. And I don't buy this notion of a MAGA civil war because most of the people speaking out can be or will be marginalized, but to your point, will be welcomed right back in because Trump is merely transactional.
If they kiss the ring, they'll be welcomed back in. And I think that what's interesting about this MAGA meltdown is that it's public and that it's loud. These are the influencers. These are the people who have the platform. These are the podcasters. These are the loudmouths. So it's interesting to watch it. However, Dave, anybody who thinks that they could hang their hat on something that President Trump has said has not been paying attention. This is why I'm so confused by Candace Owens. Has she not been paying attention for the past 10 years? Has she been living on a different planet? Donald Trump doesn't stick to one thing. He speaks out of both sides of his mouth. Sometimes he says he's going to destroy some country and there's going to be hell to pay and he's going to squash them. Sometimes he says he's going to be a peaceful president. He says both things. Why did she think she could take anything to the bank? That makes me think that she's more clueless than I previously thought. I thought she was a conspiracy theorist, but I didn't think clueless.
I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. I wish I could disagree with you here, but I cannot because President Trump doesn't really care about anything in terms of policy. He doesn't have any actual core to him. So if you believed you were voting for no more foreign entanglements, that's a problem about you, not about President
Yeah, I
Trump.
mean,
I hate to have his back here, but I kind of do.
I'm not sure you have his back, but I don't know what's at his core, but I know that he is wildly inconsistent. The one thing that is consistent about Donald Trump are his wild inconsistencies. Now, let me just read to you what a little bit more
Yeah.
about what Candace Owens says. She says he's been a chronic disappointment, and I feel embarrassed that I encouraged other people to vote for him. So she was on the campaign trail. She has a big platform. And she did encourage other people to vote for him. And now she feels embarrassed. I mean, this buyer's remorse is interesting and confusing. She says, "This is not the candidate I voted for." This is exactly the candidate you voted for. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, it is exactly what we knew of President Trump. And at the same time, she says, well, if I had it to do over again, I would still vote for him because, of course, the other option was Kamala Harris, who she would not vote for under any circumstances. So ultimately, I don't know if there's any teeth to what she's saying whatsoever. In fact, I think this really just marginalizes an anti-Semitic conspiracy theorist.
Well, that's not the worst thing that could happen. But
No.
here's one more thing that I want to bounce off you, Dave, because I keep hearing this, and I find this to be a very interesting piece of Trump, whatever the opposite of Trump delusional syndrome is, the full on Trump, on board with Trump for whatever it takes. Anybody who objects to what President Trump is doing, who is a supporter, says, I don't know who's controlling him. He's taking orders from somebody. I don't know who's gotten to him. Like she was like, this is all Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi Netanyahu did this. This isn't Donald Trump. That Bibi Netanyahu is controlling this, controlling him. Like they never will think that he's responsible for something they don't like. He's always the puppet of someone that they don't like.
In this instance, though, she may have a point. I do think Benjamin Netanyahu was more influential and kind of backed Trump into a corner. I don't know that Donald Trump really wanted to do this. I think he didn't have a whole lot of options. And now it's turned into this massive food fight between the administration and whether or not they were successful, whether or not they totally obliterated, of course, Iran's nuclear program, which they obviously did not. But the administration needs to stop taking everything so incredibly personal. Like, I don't think the Defense Intelligence Agency leak about this, that we did not destroy their nuclear program, was meant to discredit Donald Trump at all. I think probably it was meant to say, we've got more work to do. We've got more bombing to do. But this administration is the most sensitive we've ever seen, and everything is taken personal. And now they're lashing out at their own people.
You're trying to say that Donald Trump and the people around him are thin-skinned and take things personally and are super defensive?
I know, Captain Obvious here, but look, this is your own, these are your own people now. And the arguments they used the first time around in the Trump administration are now gone because these are your own people. It's your own Pentagon. This is the Pentagon's defense people. I mean, the people that lead the DIA are 3-star generals. These are Trump people. And yet we're still talking about arresting someone that leaked information. But let me ask you something in this back and forth battle. I do feel like the administration has a little bit of a point in that it felt to me like CNN and the New York Times and the Washington Post and those who had this intelligence report were trying to discredit the administration. They could have said it was a successful bombing, which by all measures, it was. It was successful. It felt to me like they were trying to undermine the administration a little bit from what was a successful attack.
I see it differently. I think that in general, CNN does a good job with nuance, which is probably why their ratings are worse than Fox's, because Fox doesn't play nuance at all. I think that what the point was we can't trust this administration. So when this administration says they obliterated something, please show us the proof. We can't trust somebody who claims that he won the 2020 election, which we all saw with our own eyes didn't happen. So among the other lies, the scores of other lies. So because we can't trust them, please show us the evidence. And then when we seem to have hard evidence of a very preliminary intelligence report, which I think they always said, I think CNN said that, then of course we report it. The whole point of journalism is to show the hypocrisies and the discrepancies and try to figure out which one was the truth.
Yeah, and it took on a whole new twist today because Fox News was attacked by Pete Hegseth. Jennifer Griffin, who, give me a little background on Jennifer Griffin, because to me, I find her, of all the journalists at Fox News, easily the most credible.
Here's my thoughts about that. I mean, I don't know if we're going to rank them all in credibility order, but she's a real journalist. She has been a hardworking, well-sourced, incredibly bright, incredibly industrious reporter for decades. And she knows people everyone at the Pentagon, and she's a good reporter. You can take it to the bank.
And she reported that there were several trucks lined up at Fordo, the mountain underground nuclear facility, days before the Trump administration dropped bombs on this facility. And the obvious takeaway there is they knew we were coming and they removed the enriched uranium. And again, I don't think Jennifer Griffin was trying to attack anyone. She was just asking a question to the defense secretary, who attacked her personally and said, "You are the worst. You have been the worst of all the reporters relaying misinformation." And then Jennifer Griffin laid out all of the true factual reporting she has done on all this. It was a despicable moment for Pete Hegseth, who always performed pretty well, Allison, for an audience of a couple of million people. Whether or not I liked it or not, he was an effective anchor for Fox News, but now he's got an audience of one. Yeah, he's got an audience of one, and I think it is the most shameful job we've ever seen, exponentially, from someone who represents our military. It is frankly reprehensible the way this man acts and speaks and talks to the media. And here was his latest attack on our entire field, including Fox News. Listen. I swear I have it, but
here, I think you need this.
And I mean, specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump because you want him not to be successful so bad. You have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful.
Well, he's an expert on leaked information, as we know.
He is, because of signal chats. But what really pisses me off there is that he's talking about how the media manipulates information. And what he just did is manipulate the troops. And that's despicable, because no one at CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, or MSNBC came close, even on the fringes of disrespecting our men and women of the military. And to my notion, I don't remember any of them ever doing so. No. And in fact, if anything, we're complimentary of the job these pilots, man and woman, did. And to suggest that the media is now disrespecting our military is just gross.
It's a straw man. It's a straw man. It's a totally fake argument. And as you say, Pete Hegseth was an effective broadcaster. Okay, he wasn't really an anchor. He's not a journalist. He was an effective broadcaster, host on Fox. He was not qualified, as we all know, to lead the Pentagon, this massive, huge department with all of these billions of dollars. But one thing that he knows how to do is divide people. I mean, that's one of the things that he learned as a broadcaster, and how to drum up these false arguments and drum up outrage. I mean, they're so angry. And to go after, do you have the one? Did we hear him go after Jennifer Griffin there?
I didn't have it right here, but I characterized it, him saying, "You have always been the worst."
That's awesome. I mean, they were colleagues. I mean, that is so, but again, the personal attacks are something that I think we've come to expect from certainly the Trump orbit, as well as, the folks who were trained at the hosts who were trained at Fox.
Yeah. And it's fine. It's one thing to see Carolyn Levitt do this daily from the podium. It's entirely different, though, when you're representing the military, when you're speaking at the Pentagon. And again, no one ever disparaged or disrespected the men and women of the military. You are now using them as a political chip. And that's really thematic of the Trump administration, speaking with the men and women of the military behind you, using them as props, making military speeches a political rally. And I would love to hear from those men and women of the military how they feel about being used as a prop, because I find that truly despicable.
Well, I mean, obviously the military is not a monolith. I think everybody probably has their own separate opinions based on whether or not they support Donald Trump. But I, of course, agree with you that I think everyone learned that after Vietnam, this is not the fault of the servicemen and women. They are brave. They are trained. It's the decisions that are being made by the people in Washington, and certainly the blowback. I just want to get to some of our comments here. So Vito says, very true. Yes, he's applauding us. Ong says, yep, exclamation point. And then another friend says, hi.
Hello. So let me ask you one final question before we wrap this up. And I fear agreeing with Pete on one thing.
Oh, I can't wait.
One thing did bother me from the Pentagon press conference today, and it's that the media does seem to pressed him on the issue that when he first came out and spoke about this mission, he spoke about our boys, and the media seems to be taking issue with why didn't he say girls too? Because one of the pilots was a woman, and that I think is a real lame gotcha moment for the media, because I don't think he was trying to do that at all. I think our boys characterizes our pilots, and I'm sure that woman felt, he was talking about me. I wish a media reporter hadn't pressed him on that, because that just gives ammunition to them.
I agree with you. That's just lingo. Our boys that's just lingo, and we have bigger fish to fry. We have bigger fish to fry. I mean, but first, I'll just give you an example, like in terms of the semantics. I say, hey guys, all the time. I don't say hi guys and ladies. I say, hey guys. And so I think we're just gonna have to live with that. But obviously the bigger issues are, can we trust them? Are they telling the truth? What's the evidence? And with Pete Hegseth, the lady doth protest too much. When he goes after Jennifer Griffin, he's so defensive. It does make you wonder why he's so defensive. So we need some more answers.
Indeed. And we leave you guys with this one last question. Do you agree with us that this MAGA split, this MAGA food fight, this MAGA civil war isn't actually that major, that it will pass, and no one's ever kicked off the island permanently? They're always welcome back in. And your thoughts on Candace Owens are always welcome here on the comments below.
All right, Dave, on that note, I just want to say, well done. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Subscribe and like, please.
All right. See you soon.